Yeah.
And then, yeah,
When you
What
put the
you want.
cursor and tap the screen once, that seems to enable the screen. There you go. Now
Okay.
you're good. Yep,
now you got it. All right,
cool, awesome.
awesome, thank you. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna have a lot more fun. All right, everyone online, welcome. John Pace, sorry you missed the first 15 minutes of talking. We are talking about making and receiving offers today. As I was telling the room here, I really would appreciate if you guys could actually have two-way conversations with us. Please ask questions, please stop me, let me know where things are. We have already gone through a few slides. We talked about the Y4C2Es and how they show up in making a deal or making an offer or receiving an offer. We've talked about this quote here, that sales is the ability to gracefully persuade, not manipulate person or persons into a win-win situation. And we got to here, the offer process. Hey guys online, if anyone wants to say anything, what are you guys seeing in the market right now as far as offers? All right, that's gonna be today. Great. We'll go this way. Right. All right. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about this here. It is really easy as a realtor, especially in a spring market on the buyer side, to let your emotions get the best of you. Especially if the realtor on the other side is not the best, or is antagonistic, challenging, or if you have a client who is that way. So I remember I had a client, and I'm at the beach, and I am letting offers, I'm negotiating offers, or I'm sitting on the beach with my friends. And I went, why the hell am I doing this? A whole other conversation. But that listing agent was just poking me. And I got to the point, I remember yelling at the top of my lungs. So my guys who were friends who were surfing 50 yards out to hear me. And I exploded this guy, and he responded and goes, I like you. I think I should hire you. And I was like, what in the hell? Never. And I was like, oh, I bet. He wanted me to do that. He wanted to get this response. He enjoys that. And ever since then, I am Switzerland with my client's interests at heart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So really keep your emotions in check. At the end of the day, if you don't get the house, you don't get the house. It's okay. And on the listing side, you might have some buyers that try to shoot the moon and they change their tune. Let them go. You'll find another one. It might be double the work, it might be triple the work, but your client will notice it. So make sure that you are putting time and effort into them on that. All right.
I was gonna say to that, Catherine Ham's class, she did hear about like getting your buyers ready. Makes being Switzerland interesting, like we get it or we don't. So much easier to kind of lean into in the end because you know you've done every single thing to communicate on the front end. Like when you've told your buyer like, hey, we might have to wait inspection months before you can start looking, or what all these things, like by the time you don't get the offer, but you did everything you could have and your client put it all out there because they knew, it makes it so much easier to be like, no, we didn't get it, but we did what we could. Like it wasn't meant to be because like, but when you don't prep on the front end and they weren't ready to do it, it makes it so easy to be like, I felt the difference.
Prepping your clients is probably the number one thing you can be doing well before this class. 100%. I would say, who do you think is the hardest demographic to get to understand the market we are in?
Boomers. I was gonna say boomers.
Yeah, boomers.
Boomers are harder
Yeah.
because they've done this once or twice, if not 3 times. And I know what I'm doing. No, you don't. You really do not. We got to start over from scratch and walk you through this. And like, wait, prices never go higher. You always negotiate down. I've gotten that response numerous times. Where do you want to start the list price? I want to start here because I know I have to negotiate here. No, I want you starting here so I can get you here. And that is a really hard mindset to get in the shift. It's really hard.
I have a boomer client right now. I say boomer, it's bad, but like,
No, it's not.
to that age. And she's convinced, we've gone around, but she's like, I've never had to actually buy a house on the market. I find a friend of a friend or somebody, and we make a deal. And I keep telling her, like, in 2025, people know what they're sitting on. They're not gonna give you a deal. I mean, you know, but she's never had to actually go through the process of using an agent to buy a house, because she's like, I always know someone who knows someone. And I'm like, no one's giving away their house in 2025.
It does happen, but it's really rare. I got a client, I'm actually helping selling her house, because she had a neighbor where she used to live that's selling. The neighbor's like, you gotta sell to her and you gotta buy from him, and they're pretty together.
Yeah,
They're in generation.
yeah. I'm not saying it can't happen.
No, it's rare.
But
It's
when
rare.
she's trying to buy in the museum, you know, I'm just like, it's not. If that happens, great.
But sellers know that, hey, if I talk to you and the price is 500, I can put them in the market and get 550.
Yeah. I didn't tell her it couldn't happen. I said, we should be working on other things.
All right, any ahas so far? Something that you, holy crap, I didn't know that, or it re-solidified what you already knew? Okay, let's jump in the next slide. All right, prepare to write an offer. We've got these 10 things on there, this list here. So ensure the property is still available, build report to listing agent, inquire about activity, inquire about others, blah, 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 all these things. Of the 10 on here, what do you think might be the one thing that gives you the best chance of your client winning? You are on the buyer side, not the seller side, you're on the buyer side. Why number 2?
They like you, they're more willing to.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Number 5.
You say number 5, ask yourself, very good question, yeah, ask questions, tell her motivations and her needs. But how do you ask the questions? So who are you asking the questions of?
Of the agent.
Everything starts with number 2. Everything starts, even number 1 starts with number 2. Of the 14 offers I got on this listing last week, how many realtors reached out to me, do you think?
Oh, no.
Like one that called.
It's the first call I made.
And one I was trying to get him to win. He got second place. His client wouldn't go any higher. But I gave him a hell of a shot to win. Because he called me. He said, hey, making sure we're still good. You're not, reviewing offers, Sunday, not Monday. It says Monday in the MLS, but you're changing it. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Great. How's the activity? Any offers in hand? He asked really good questions. You want to know. And he goes, what does the seller want? I know it, and I mentioned before, guys, we do an FAQ attachment. We put in there all the things that I want a buyer's agent to do for my offers. Hey, we're going to be reviewing Monday at 3, for example. Can you give me until 8 a.m. the next morning to have it ratified, or 10 o'clock, whatever the time is? I like having the closing date, and you have 2 options for the closing date. I like to use the second date, because 9 times out of 10, the buyer is the one that's delaying closing, and I want to have that 10-day window where I can cancel the contract if I need to. Gives me a little more control.
Wait, say that again. What were you saying to do?
So the closing date has 2 fields. The first one says on or before or soon after,
Oh, the checkbox.
As long
Yeah,
as
sorry.
everybody's
I'm
working.
looking at
and
it.
the second one says the departed is ready, willing, and able can cancel the contract for 10 days. I like the second option.
Side, you want that.
If you're on the buy side, you want the first one. If you're on the seller side, you want the second, in my opinion. Now, I have had an attorney tell me, if it's cash, you want the first option. Because the first option is basically time is of the essence
Yeah.
in some respects. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but he is an attorney. But these are the things I want to know. So I tell the agents what I want. 3/4 of the offers I got did not follow my instructions. I got a text this morning on a listing from a realtor at 7 a.m. saying, hey, what's going on with this property? It's an auction property we're doing. I was like, go in the MLS and read the notes. I told you exactly what to do. Realtors are lazy. I don't like this realtor now. He's wasting my time. Win-win or no deal. It goes both ways. Don't ask stupid questions, realtors. Slow down, look in the MLS, do your research, find out what I'm telling you. Now, some realtors don't give you anything. But at least you did your research to look it up. But the ones that did, smart realtor calls me and says, hey, I see these things. Is this correct? I'm going to write the offer exactly like you told me. Is this correct? Yes, perfect. I got someone I can partner with.
This is gonna sound crazy.
Great, I love crazy.
Well, So
To a certain
I had a client that looked at one of y'all's houses one day
Uh-huh.
and I was like, oh, there's an FAQ, that's really good. And they were like, oh my gosh, this sounds way extra. I think the seller is gonna be high maintenance, I'm out.
Blame it on the listing agent.
Well, I didn't, but I was just like, oh, I mean, I really wanted, I don't know. I didn't know who to throw, I didn't want to throw our person under the bus, like the
Well-
person with Keller Williams. I'm like, no, listen, I know this.
Well, why
agent,
don't we do the
You
FAQ?
know,
Why do you think I do that?
make more streamlined,
Streamline, yes, why else?
so you don't have to field a bunch of questions.
Number two, and number three. I'm trying to make it easier for you. I want to make it easier for you guys so you know exactly what you're doing, because most of the questions are the exact same damn question. So if I'm getting the same questions every single listing, I should create a system so I don't have to field the same questions.
Yeah.
So it is a time saver for me, and it should be a time saver for the agent as long as they slow down and do the research. Most just go into online, looking at Zillow or whatever, and they see it and they call, oh, it's John's listing, I'll call John. And they waste my time. By the way, also it says call Alicia for quicker response because my phone's turned off right now.
Yeah.
I guarantee I'll have 5 messages from realtors who did not slow down to call Alicia.
It's a great opportunity to remind your clients that like, hey, you know, like there's two people in this deal.
Right.
There's the seller and there's you. And I don't know, I talked to my clients, but I did an Instagram thing about it where I was like, if you're going in trying to bulldoze their side, you're gonna lose every time.
I like when there are instructions from the listing
Yeah.
agent, because it really provides a roadmap,
Mhm.
and also clears up a lot of uncertainty from the buyer side.
It does.
Where you need to be competitive, because it narrows it down. And at that point, it's just about your buyer's ability. And that, you really can't change that.
Yeah, it definitely streamlines things, makes it easier for everybody. And I think back to your question, Mindy, the whole thing to a response to your client was, actually, this listing agent knows what they're doing, they're trying to make it easier for us.
I will say the one thing that I'm thinking about when you're saying this, and I've dealt with this before, where when the listing agent is clearly really prepped it, typically this is someone who has a bigger team. And it's like, hey, call this person for details, and it's usually some sort of assistant or admin, all the FAQ. Sorry. I will say, you don't want to bother the listing agent because they've made it very clear to say like, really during business hours, call these people, whatever. It's really hard to build rapport with the listing agent. I have run into that before, and I'm like, gosh, I just feel like another number in the office.
So how could you get around that?
I guess it's a good thing to brainstorm.
I mean, do I not want to talk to the realtor?
I'm not saying you, there are times when it does appear, there are times that it does appear that way, not from you, from other.
Yeah.
Where I've seen it.
And there are some that 100% do not want to. talk.
Yeah.
And so there's checking the box, up they go. But in an effort to try to have that, what you could do, in my case, for example, you could text me, say, hey, John, I went through all the stuff and the things. I don't have any questions for your assistant, but I do want to talk to you for 2 minutes if you have some time today. Let me know what's good for you. And gently put it in my lap. I'll say, great, I'll give you a call.
Just like a quick text message.
Yeah. And that way I can respond when I am ready. And I know that you are coming, that you've done the research that you need to do. And then you just want to know more. And my gut's going, okay, they want to build rapport. Great, let's go from there. I know what you're trying to do, and I want you to do that.
Because a lot of times the questions I'm asking aren't not answered in there. I just want to, like you said, I want to like, have you tell me again, like, just want to confirm that, you know, you don't think you're going to review early, see, you're going to review on whatever that.
That's the
might
number
be.
one question you should get clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what you're not telling in the FAQs is kind of like what your seller wants, maybe like, do you have any offers in hand? Those things that I can't quite grasp yet.
The question I like to ask a listing agent would be, I know you say you're holding until Monday. What is your plan if you do get an offer on Saturday that has a deadline Saturday? What's your plan? I'd like to know. And that person may say, I have to present all offers, and he's already said that we're waiting until Monday. What I tell agents is, if my client does change their mind, I have to spend the entire Saturday calling every single realtor who has shown or will show the property and give them a shot to actually write an offer. So you will hear from me if that actually. The worst thing that happens, you see it pending the next morning. But the worst thing is your client tells you that they saw it.
Mhm.
That's
That is the worst thing.
Yes, and you look like an idiot.
Right.
Oh, that's brutal.
It is. Realtors, we should not be doing that to each other. We should not be doing that to each other.
I know, I reach out to everyone once I get, I'll reach out to anybody that's shown it. One that helps you maybe get more offers,
Mhm.
like they're sitting on it,
Yeah,
they're like,
100%.
Yeah, I definitely like to reach out. If I, once I get an offer, I'll reach out to other people that have shown and let them know, hey, we got an offer, are you planning on sitting? And like you said, to hopefully generate other offers. if nothing.
So one thing Chris Elliott said in his class was that if, like, he does an addendum that, and has his seller sign that we are not reviewing until Monday. And then they've signed it, like, they don't want to see any off, so. Cause I was
It's
always
actually a great
under,
idea.
I was always
Mhm.
under the impression like time is of the essence, so even though I'm saying we're not gonna review it on Monday. If I get it on Saturday, I have to send it to my client,
We still have to send it no matter what.
so he says if they sign an addendum,
And
then they're not reviewing till Monday, and he sends them on Monday.
I would CYA and I would still forward it to them, say, hey, there's a deadline here for our agreement on this. I am letting them know that we have to wait until Monday. But just letting you know that I did get an offer. I would at least verbally tell them or text them, we got an offer, this is the price, these are the terms. They're gonna wait or they're not gonna wait. Yes, at the end of the day, I think disclosing is important.
My fear would be you're really putting your sellers in a position where they might not be getting something really competitive. Because I know there's times when I've been on the listing side, and I've learned from this mistake, where I've been on the listing side and someone calls and they're like,
I got it.
"Hey, can we push you to sooner? Can we push you to review this Saturday night, whatever it might be?" And I've gone, you know, we really are gonna wait till Monday. We've discussed the wife's gonna get back into town. We're really gonna wait till, whatever.
They're all done.
Well, then instead of the white side, instead of them giving me their highest and best on Saturday night, on Sunday night, when they were really due, they just gave me the offer with an escalation clause. And then what happened is we didn't actually end up receiving all the other offers that every agent called me, like, are you sure you're not gonna, really sure you're not gonna, you know, because they were just doing their job calling me. And had I gotten the offer on Saturday and just said to them, you know, we are gonna wait till Monday, but you know what, go ahead and submit it. My clients could always change their mind, took the offer, then took those next 3 hours to call every agent that said, hey, let us know if you're gonna do early, they could have then told me like, oh, well, we're not gonna be that competitive, or my client actually saw yesterday another, whatever, and we would have gotten the 570 offer instead of the 550 with an escalation to 570, but no other offers to compete with it. And it's like, I worry that if you put that in there, you're missing out on the opportunity for someone to be really, really competitive for your seller.
I will say that one thing that I have learned, and it seems to just be like, the people who put in the first offer or the ones that do push, they tend to be the most motivated. And they usually do have the best offer.
Just be careful if you accept it early.
Yeah, I mean,
Going a
I
fair
would
shot.
still call
Yeah.
everyone and, you know, let them know that we received it and we're gonna review it early, but like she said, it's hard to gauge. You know.
Actually, there's an easier way to gauge what might happen. What tool can you use to see if you should actually consider taking the offer early?
Showing time,
Why?
you got a ton of showings, there's no way.
Or if all your showings got staggered on Friday,
Yeah.
you got nothing on Saturday and Sunday, and you get the offer, I'm done.
Yeah, well, and that was.
And then reach out to those realtors, say, hey, we're doing, and everyone's like, pass, whatever it might be, but yeah, definitely use that tool.
Yeah, I felt like, I would have never said this to my seller, but I felt like I really did them accidentally a disservice because we probably should say.
Can you repeat that thought
Saturday one, but we had a ton of showings on Saturdays and a ton of showings on Sundays.
Yeah, and so, but was it your decision to hold, or was it their decision to hold?
Ultimately, it was their decision,
Yes.
but they always ask me, what do you think? And I give them like listen, we have two scenarios here. I have all these other agents that have called me and said they're interested. I think we should believe them. But a lot of times the first person that calls and is this eager is also someone who's really, really interested. You know,
Right.
I'm inclined to tell you to wait, but it is always your decision. I mean, I really do. I don't stand in the corner and be like, it's up to you, it's up to you. I do give advice.
Yes.
But I say you have to make the final call on it. And so they were not mad at all. Like, I mean, they were not mad at me.
You're probably more mad at yourself than they were.
Right.
100%. He goes, we were, in the first weekend, we got it under contract for the exact list price. We're happy as that, I just was like, I beat myself up for like a month. I was just like, what have I done?
Yeah, so James, what we were talking about is, use showing time and obviously understanding how many showings you have.
Yeah.
I'm noticing most realtors are doing almost all the showings. Like if you're holding through the weekend,
Sure,
you're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, almost all the showings are Friday,
okay,
with a few on Saturday, almost none on Sunday.
gotcha.
So you know your answer pretty much by Friday. But you might have the right buyer.
So is that, it's in that pool that's. in
So
the-
if you get an early offer
Gotcha,
and you're getting feedback and most of the feedback is negative and they're not gonna write, and maybe you have a couple showings you need to follow up with, you can take that early offer on Saturday. Just let everyone know, including the ones that said no, that you're reviewing early.
understood.
Because I've had realtors who said, buyer's not interested, and then they came back and said, well, you took the offer early, but you told me you were not interested, well, they changed their mind.
Understood,
It does happen.
gotcha.
All right. Hey, guys, real quick, number 7. Is there a better way to do number 7?
We'll put the list in what they have to.
Well, pre-approved is good. Pre-approved is good. If I'm a listing agent, what would I like to see?
Like a full underwriting.
I want full underwriting. I want fully underwritten at that point, waiting on appraisal. That's the only thing I have left. They're basically almost a cash buyer at that point. So get your clients fully underwritten if you can. You come across a lot stronger. I'm amazed the number of realtors that don't sell that to me. And now we reach out to all the lenders and sometimes a lender will mention it, but the realtor never did. I was like, wait, they're fully underwritten? Because yeah, they're done. Just wait on the appraisal.
I was gonna ask that question, would you be opposed to that? Because in the past, not so much now, I've actually had some of my lenders that were willing to actually call the listing. agent
Yeah,
To offer that assurance.
please. I'm calling them anyway, so I don't mind. I just forward the message to my team and they handle it.
So,
But yeah, I like a good lender. And there's certain lenders out there I know that are really good and a couple that I think stink. But yeah, good lenders are an important partner in this conversation.
but then for the most part, you're saying you want the language in that letter to say fully underwritten.
And you as a buyer's agent should put that in your
Subject to
summary
approval.
to me that, hey, this buyer is fully underwritten. They're approved. They're good to go.
Understood.
Yes. And I've already prepped them. They should not buy a boat or a new car
Right.
or anything else in the process and they're fully aware. We're a partnership, win-win or no deal. I want to know that you know what you're doing.
I found it helpful to have a lender too that knows a ton of agents, because my lender partner, she's always like, oh my God, Catherine," like buzz, right? So then now she's calling the listing agent and she's like, oh, Catherine, this is good. Like, I'd love to work with you on this one. Like, just, she happens to be friends with so many realtors. It's such an advantage.
It is huge.
Because they know like, oh, when Missy's got the deal, it doesn't fall through. It just doesn't, and so it really helps me a lot.
That's a good.
All right.
I'm gonna say, I always send like a synopsis of the deal with my deal. But it's amazing how many people don't, like, they just send you a deal and no words, you're like, okay. And then I start looking for all the errors, because there's always an error.
Yeah, I get the transaction desk email with the attachment.
Oh,
Right,
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 forwarded
right.
email.
Oh,
I never
wow.
talk to the realtor. I don't know anything about their buyer, don't even with the lender. A lot of times they don't even include a pre-approval letter or even a pre-qual
Right.
letter. They just forward it. It is the lowest denominator of service to their client.
Yep.
Got it. I sent it out. I'm not gonna get it anyway, so I'll move on to the next. And the list they're telling me, I don't know, I know I'm not getting it. So it's funny when we finally make a decision, the realtors that call me get a call back from me. I will tell them what happened, where things were, and how they did, and hey, you guys did a great job, you listened to my guidance, and here's how the buyer won. The ones that just email me get an email response, and it may or may not have any good information.
Oh,
I'll treat you like you treat me.
mirroring, right?
Yeah.
So even if you got like, it was, back in the day, all that, like 27 offers. You're gonna call them off if they call.
If they called it or not.
I mean,
I had 52 offers on one
believe me,
listing.
I had one where they were
I had
all.
3 that called,
It was like, you gotta stop calling me at this point.
which is why I built the FAQ.
Yeah, yeah.
We built that massive number of showings, massive number of offers, we had to streamline it. But there were a few realtors that called because they were trying, how do I make a win-win? They weren't asking stupid questions, they were trying, how do I make this win-win? Those people get a call back. They've earned the right.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
I'm sort of taught that you can only, I don't know about this is true. Like, and I don't want to show my hand. So you're only supposed to negotiate with one at a time. And really, that's maybe more like.
Possible.
Okay,
Negotiate, what is that?
I'm negotiating with 14 people at one time.
right,
Mhm.
okay,
You're
so I'm
saying,
not doing anything.
I'm giving everyone an equal shot. Now, what I'm saying is buyer agent number 1
So
versus
this
buyer agent number
escalates-
14
they
is
escalate, they
exactly the
escalate.
same. It's the exact same information. So I'm not showing favorites.
Right,
I'm not trying to steer anyone differently or guide them differently. Steer is a horrible choice of words.
but if you say, okay, if she calls and I say, we've got 4 offers,
Uh-huh.
and I always ask the question like, what decade are we in? Like, because they can't tell me the price, right? But I say like. So say.
No, they can't?
You know, I was just.
Wait. I can definitely tell you the price if my seller says I'm allowed to, which is what I asked my seller to give me permission to do. So
You
if-
tell them the price straight up. You get to 575 or more, it's.
It's really close. Like I said before, I told every realtor, we've got 3 offers or 2 offers at 260, above 260 right now. I've got 3 realtors who fully weighed the inspection, and I've got 4 that partially weighed the appraisal at least $10,000. Can you beat?
it's like, I don't think just strategically, I don't think I ever say the number, because if I tell them we have an offer at 500, they're just gonna come at 501, right? So like,
Right.
I don't, but I will be like, each offer in hand is over 5. It's got a 5 in front of it. It's over 5, or it's
Right.
well over this.
Mhm.
And
Or
then I
it's
would
in the
bet,
high
what decade are we in?
sixes.
Hopefully
Yeah.
they'll say
Right.
like 520s or
Yeah.
570s, right? Like, where are we,
Yeah,
right?
and I will say on terms, I'm pretty specific.
Okay.
There's really no reason not.
But so then, if you escalate and then you called and you're escalating and then you went higher, then do you call this one back? and
So
go,
usually what happens,
So
I
someone's
get,
escalated above you again.
what happens, I usually come down to 2 people who are almost identical.
Yeah,
And then I go back to both of those and say, listen, I got ties. How can you guys beat the tie?
Yeah.
And I told them both that.
so how many times did the,
Yeah, it's funny, you talk to Catherine Ham, that girl is negotiating through the night into the next morning, and she's squeezing the last little blood out of a turnip she can possibly get. It's incredible watching her do it. Yeah, I will squeeze and squeeze to the point that I also then have a really good partner to work with at that point. There's different ways you can do it. Definitely different ways you can do it. All right, let's move on.
so sorry, you were gonna ask something.
No, it's okay, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Ahas. I know you guys got some ahas out of that last conversation. Anyone online get an aha? On here today.
I think my aha was really just how many people do not call. Cause I know we've been taught to do that.
Yes.
And so it is interesting that just that little thing, helps us stand out that much.
So I'm glad you brought that up. How do you use that to your advantage outside of the actual process of writing an offer? Is there a way you can use that information? Actually, I teed that question up for you. Let me just tell you what I'm thinking. When you're sitting down with a buyer client at the buyer consultation, buyer success meeting, buyer, I want you to know how I work. When we write an offer, these are the things I'm going to do. And I just, as a listing agent, 90% of realtors do not call me. So when I represent you as the buyer, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call that agent, build rapport, because I know there's 10 offers, 9 are not gonna do it. And I had the greatest chance to get you across the finish line because I do one extra thing that no one else is gonna do. They will sign up with you. What are the little things that differentiate yourself as a listing agent or a buyer's agent that helps them to sign with you versus somebody else? Don't be the lazy realtor. There's so many.
I had a deal not long ago where I knew through my lender that the listing agent was best friends with an agent I'd done a deal with like the month prior. And I just made sure to bring it up. I was like, I just did a deal with Sean and I heard he's your best bud. And I know she'll go to Sean and be like, Ellen got the deal done. Right? Because she's gonna call Sean and say like, is this agent worth working with? Like, you just find her Instagram and somehow find a way to bring up the dog breed. Like, I don't know. I just do some random shit.
Be careful. I had realtors that do that to me. I'm like, really? No.
Way to do it.
If I'm a high I social personality, I want to be your best friend.
Yeah, you know the
I
realtors that are
am
like,
not.
yeah.
So you're wasting my time
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So know the personality agent you're talking to, or at least try to figure it out on the phone.
You'll pick it up pretty quickly though.
Yes,
Right, I mean, don't be an idiot about it. I don't think I'm that.
yeah. So I can tell realtors like they're choosing a little too much.
Yeah.
It's like
I
really.
hope I've never crossed that
They
line.
start talking about the client and the client's dog and the client's grandmother and the client's this and the client's that.
I
I'm
don't
like,
do that.
write the damn offer. I'll let you know if you win.
Yeah.
It'll wear me out. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
there's a
Yes, ma'am.
balance place.
I have two questions. What I've found sometimes when I represent buyers is that sometimes it's hard to reach the listing agent initially to build that rapport, and there is no referral person to.
Correct. Some realtors do not want to be spoken to and it's really hard to get to them and that's the way it's
It
going.
is what it is. So my next question is, when you're building that rapport, so I typically make a call. What is the tone of that conversation like initially? Just, what are you covering?
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, hey, I went through the MLS, I read everything you put in there,
Sure.
assuming they did that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a few questions just to get clarification?
That's
So I
it, okay,
understand?
I got you.
And hey, I know you're holding offers. Are you really, just
Not
confirming you are, I've been burned before, and of course, let's say you go, I get it. Hey, what's your plan?
Not a social call.
If you get an offer on Saturday and you're holding until Monday, what's your plan for that?
I got
You know, will I hear that from you? And what is it? I've had realtors ask me this question is, what do you want me to be doing to make sure that this is smooth as possible for your seller?
Say no more, because we talked about that already. It's like, for some reason, I felt like I may have missed something. but
No,
that's cool.
you're,
Okay.
you're dead on. You're dead on.
When I always call, like usually it's not in there like the exact closing date they want, right? So I always use that as my like, hey, what kind of closing are they looking for? And some agents will give you a lot of information,
Understood.
like they've already got their house, they're moving to Maine, but they'd love it to be
Great
quick, but
question too, because
you know,
it does offer.
yeah, like they're still living in the house, there's a ton of stuff in the house, like, how can they really get out?
Yeah.
Like,
Would it be helpful if your client has left furniture behind that we can just inherit? They don't have to worry about it. Would that be beneficial? Do they want a rent back?
Yeah.
What questions are you asking to make it as easy for the seller as possible?
I have a.
Appreciate it. Sorry, guys.
No,
I'm
good
on
question.
I'm on the buyer side now for a deal. And it's like the agent's never even talking to the seller. I don't think he ever. Cause I'll say like, what's the close date they'd like? And he goes, whatever you like, what do you want? I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well, like we have a deadline, like we need to be out of an apartment, so. But does this date work? Probably work.
Which means he has not talked to the seller.
And it's still going on, and we close next week, and we're still like not certain about the close date, cause
Even though it's in the contract,
I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah, it's the craziest.
there's some lazy realtors. Yeah. The benefit of this kind of market is it will weed out those people very quickly. It should. It hopefully will. All right. Writing an offer. Okay. So they said to pull out your contract.
What?
Yeah, I know. No one knows to bring a Richmond contract with you.
Oh.
So we're gonna talk about it just through our brains. Because I know you guys can look at the contract and you can see page 1 right now, and you can see page 2 in your head, and you can see page 9, right? You can see it in your heads. Okay. So let's talk about writing the contract. If I am sitting down, let's say we're sitting down together and you're the realtor and I'm the buyer, how are we walking through this contract? Are you just filling it out and sending it to me and then explaining it? Have we ever talked about the contract before? What are the things that we need to be doing to make sure our contract understands what they're writing and signing on? And 2, and understands the strategery behind it. Does that make sense? So what are the things we're talking about? What are the high bullet points to start with that we want to make sure they are understanding the contract? You go through everything.
That's right.
Hey, so are you actually walking them through what page 1 through page 9? Are you actually walking them through the contract?
When my people I kind of go over it on the initial consultation, but when they get pre-approved, I do sit them down again and go over the contract paragraph by paragraph. And I do that because I'm like, okay, when we go to put together our offer, I will ask you certain questions, so now you understand why. And so that's kind of how I start the
You
conversation.
ever have people push back on
No,
it? Is there a certain personality that might push back on that conversation? What type of personality would that be? If I'm looking at DISC profile, you understand DISC, DISC? So D is driver, I is influencer, super social, S is more stability, and C is a super detailed person. Of those four personality basic types, who do you think might push back on wanting to slow down and go to paragraph to paragraph?
Social and driver.
Social doesn't mind, 'cause I'm actually getting to be your best friend. We're spending time together. I love spending time with you. This would be great. The Heidi. They're going to like summarize it for me, please. What do I need to know? To make sure you understand your people. You should be going over the contract at your buyer success meeting. You should be walking them through it. I think if you could slow down and do it then, or we have done is created a video that walks through the contract. And so we'll send it to them. Say, hey, at your leisure, take a look at this. When you're done, let me know. I'm going to call you back and we're going to have a conversation on this. So I can answer any questions you have. And I'm going to point out the things I really, really want you to know. If you could have them do homework, and that saves you a bunch of time, especially the high D personnel.
What are the things? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say how long is the video? But it takes me a while to go through it.
You'd be surprised if you're just explaining it, you might get it done in 5 minutes.
Oh.
It'd be 8 at the most.
Contract?
Really?
What do you consider the most important?
Yeah, probably
No.
at least 15.
I can do it in 8 minutes.
No.
Yes.
For the good fight.
Now, I am not fielding questions in the video. I am just telling them the basics around this. And I'm asking them to take notes, and then we're going to circle back and have a conversation around the most important things that I want to make sure they're knowing and any concerns they have. You'd be surprised at how fast you can make a video on. Or the system,
You do a video, what?
We're already past 2 minutes.
I know.
Honestly, you're right. It was rude that I was typing something and then asked you to rephrase it, so don't worry about it.
No, I will say, so we were talking about actually going through the entire contract at the buyer success meeting, by council. But I said you could also create a video and send them the video, and they have to watch the video and you recap it on a phone call. Just,
What platform do you use to record?
we use Zoom. I mean, we use BombBomb, but you can, there's a lot of things you can use. You can use your phone, turn it on sideways. But if you actually have the contract on the screen, BombBomb makes it really easy because you can actually have the contract, have a little bubble with your picture in the corner. So you can see the contract. And then you can highlight things as you're going through it, that kind of stuff. So you can have fun with it, but definitely be talking about it and making sure you're going through it. All right, what are the points they want me to make sure I'm expressing here? Okay, so let's go through the contract in our brain. Page 1, after we fill out all the stuff at the very top, right? Buyer, seller, brokerages, that kind of stuff. We're going to write in things like personal things we're going to convey, right? What goes in there and what does not go in there?
Refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove.
The stove's automatic.
Write it in anyway.
Yeah,
I've had people walk away with them. Yeah. It is written in the paragraph that range conveys. I write it in just to double check so that, because sometimes listening agents don't pay attention. And they're going, well, I can unplug it, I can slide it out and take it away, just like a fridge. We're gonna do that.
I say.
Hey, thank you, Patrice.
Thank you, yeah.
Woo!
You could write something like, for, I think, I know, like it was like. All appliances as seen in home on blank, the date we showed it to include but not limited to, and then I renamed them all.
Please name.
Yeah.
Because what was there could be subject to,
Yeah, it says to
no
include but not limited
documentation, means
to,
nothing.
and just write it all out.
correct, so write it up there. I like to use
Value, because I've heard the lenders be like, oh, that's a lot of things.
personal property addendum is great to use. Also, if you really want to button up, put a dollar value on it. Especially if you start getting outside of the normal basic things, you're starting to include a swing set, all pool equipment. I want this, I want that, put it on a bill of sale, put a dollar to it. Makes it easier. All right. One of the things I noticed, and let's say we're not in a crazy seller's market. Let's say we're in a market that only brings one offer at a time. How are you filling out the financing section?
What's that question again?
Let me ask it a different way. Most contracts I get from a buyer's agent will have conventional check or FHA check. They will not put any down payment amount in here. They will not even put number of terms or discount points. They will not even check prevailing rate of interest, or they might check prevailing rate of interest. They may or may not.
I usually put percentage and not the loan amount. I don't know why.
Okay,
Like, I'll-
so
Really depends if it's a complicated number.
One thing to look at, guys, when you're looking at the financing section. Yeah, we combined the financing section, didn't we? The contract. Yeah, so paragraph 4 has all, it used to be paragraph 6 was financing, now paragraph 4 is all the financing. If you get denied for a loan, you gotta be as specific as possible why you would be denied. So, hey, I'm writing an offer for 450, we're putting 10% down. It is no more than 6.75% interest rate with 0 points on a 30-year fixed mortgage.
Yeah.
If I can't get that, that gets me out of the contract in the first 7 days of the financing clause. If you don't put any of that in there, it's too open, you can't get, in my opinion, you can't get out of the contract.
Right.
Because I can say, well, go get a 15-year, go get a 30-year, go get a 40-year mortgage. Put down 5 points to make it work. I can fight it. In my opinion, so be as specific as you can in this day and age, not be as important because we got so many offers we're competing with. But I like it.
So on the buyer side, to win it, like I say, 30 years, 0,
Mhm.
like. I can't, no one can force you to buy it, right? But I say the prevailing rate of interest in some, right?
Bingo, which means whatever rate it is going to be, we're taking the house.
If they can't get out, like, I've had some
For that
go, well,
reason.
I want it to be 6.5, I'm like, you're not gonna win, put that, like, just in case, right? Like, you're limiting where the rate can be, so they're gonna wanna see.
At the end of the day, it's really hard if we before closing and the lender says, I can't give you financing, they really can't get financing. It's hard to push to close, but it just buttons things up a little bit more for your buyer.
You're on the seller side, then do not correct it.
But I can't fix that. They're putting it in terms.
No, if they just left a bunch of stuff blank and it gives you
It gives me more leeway. I
So
can hold them.
so you said you don't correct it before you sign, you just let it stay blank.
That's fine. I have a lender letter.
Would you say gives you more leeway? if
Because there's no
not filled out?
terms to tie them to.
Right,
There's no terms to tie them to. You guys know all about closing costs and commissions and how to fill that out correctly. I'm gonna make a point. So our team does a standard, not standard, but most of our agents, we do not offer a buyer's commission upfront. Explaining that to other realtors has been the bane of my existence the past 6 months.
I feel like nobody offers it up right now.
No, they'll call me and say, hey, how much are you offering in compensation for the buyer's agent? I say, well, my seller is not offering any, but they do understand that you have an agreement with your buyer. So whatever that agreement is, please write it in the contract. And they go, what?
Are they just behind on what, like, cause that's not, you're not supposed to have.
I have no idea, but it's really frustrating.
That's what happens when they don't train at Keller Williams.
They don't train anywhere. Because that's the first time I heard that. I said, but hold on, you have an agreement with your client, right? Great. And you have a commission that you agree upon, right? He goes, yes, okay, write it in the contract. But what's your seller offering? Doesn't matter. It's what you agree with your buyer. So please write that in the contract. Okay.
I know Napier puts out an email every week of all their listings and their broker compensation,
And some sellers can choose to do that if they want to,
right, as their marketing.
100%. Because it's coming from them, not from the MLS.
Yeah.
It's such a good rapport builder with your seller clients, though. Not, you probably already have some sort of rapport with them most likely, but like to just be like, and tell them that we're not going to negotiate that here. That's going to be part of the offer, right?
I am
It
seeing a
feels
lot
good
more
to say
listing
that.
agents negotiating commission compensation in their contract.
That's always the first thing they come back, like,
You're seeing a lot of what agents?
Listing agents coming back and saying, hey, I say you put 3 in here, but if you want to win it, you got to put it in 2.
Yeah.
I've seen that, 2, 2.5. I've seen buyer's agents come in and change it, come in, I had one that went from 3 to 1 to get her client to win. As long as your buyer knows you're covering the difference, your call.
Are they doing that practically speaking, when they have to negotiate their commission? Are they sending addendums back and forth? Are they having a conversation?
No, it's whatever's in the contract.
I know, so once they put in that 3 and you had them reduce it to 2, did you send back an email saying you need to reduce it to 2? Did you?
Or you make a phone
adjust the
call.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
just send over another sheet
Yeah.
then, okay. it's not
I do
a
everything
back and
verbal now.
forth.
I do everything verbal.
Okay, gotcha. That's
It's
enough.
just easier. I mean,
Practically speaking.
Go back and getting everyone to sign, everyone works,
Thank you.
everyone's busy,
Okay, good,
You're saying with your buyer clients?
or my sellers.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
usually it happens, I'll text the agent and I send an email to follow up. Hey, here's our bullet points of a counter.
Good,
Use that as their point of record. That way it's not just verbal.
thank you.
But no, I think I have had some agents, I had one agent who went back and forth and everything had to be written. And I had 6 different revisions of the contract to get to the point I knew we were going to. So frustrating. All right.
And so then do you have them revise, like, do you like to look super clean? So if you're verbally going back and forth, do you tell the buyer's agent that wins to go and fix all those corrections? Or are you gonna correct it, initial it?
I'll correct it and send it back because I'm the one who initiated the changes.
Right. Good, okay.
In my
I
opinion.
didn't know if you're wanting them to just make those changes. and
Oh,
send it
It's
clean.
something, it's not, hey, guy, I call the agent, hey, I'm actually running to a listing appointment.
Yeah.
Any chance you can do this for?
Yeah.
But usually I'll do it because I'm the one who counted.
Right.
Initially, so I started the problem.
Understood, thanks.
Yeah.
I have though done it where I do the changes, but I tell them before I say, hey, I just want you to know, I'm going to put this on a clean contract. Cause we're all over the place, but I'll do it.
Yeah, I usually use the same contract and just track through it, so you can see the changes of what was done. But if it does get messy, then
There was
a clean contract can be helpful, yeah. I don't want to get into a contract writing class here, guys. But do you have any questions on strategery around writing offers and how to write the right way, waiving things, appraisal, waiving inspections, that kind of stuff?
Can you confirm to me that when you're on the sales, the seller side and the box that says, or no, paragraph number 6, the sale isn't, and you check is not contingent? Even if your client is doing a conventional loan or the buyer's doing conventional and everything, when you check that box, you're not saying that they're not getting appraisal. You're just saying they can't get out of the contract because of the appraisal.
They will cover the dollar difference no matter how.
100%.
Correct.
Whatever
So
the-
if a realtor does that, I know they're getting loans on this, who's the first person I'm calling? The lender, to make sure they have enough cash to cover the difference.
I was told by RAR at some point, if it's saying they have a loan of any kind, you have to check the is box because it always is contingent.
I disagree.
And then Catherine was like, no, that's not what that paragraph means.
Yeah.
But of course, that's what RAR told me one time. And I was like, well, this is confusing.
Yeah,
She was like, no, this is literally just your client's ability to waive. And I was
Catherine's
like,
on the forms committee, by the way.
I trust her
Yeah,
100%. I've done since I've done it, but, they were like, no, you still check is, but then in paragraph 23, you write that it would be a full, like, you're willing to pretty much do like an appraisal to cover the full difference. You would just write it, but
You can add clarity to the contract. Purchaser will be getting an appraisal, but willing to cover the difference between appraised value.
Yeah, that's,
Can't hurt.
you can still click it, check is not, even though it's on.
Yes,
okay.
bless you.
Bless you.
Yeah. Any other questions on the contract? You guys know the contract and what needs to be done. Suggestion, if you're gonna escalate, use the escalation form. I still get realtors who create their own escalation, put it in additional terms. Use the escalation clause. It's easy, everyone knows it. Well, what else I want to mention around this? Inspection.
You see a bunch of different variations of as is between the form.
That's a good question to ask, actually. Someone's gonna do as is.
There's so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can check the box that says we're not gonna have an inspection. It's my favorite as a listing agent. That way I know you're not coming back into the house. We're good, we're done. The as is addendum, which is my least favorite,
Right.
because it gives the buyer an out.
Amazing.
Yeah. Gives the buyer an out. No matter what, they can get out of the deal. So I prefer some hybrid in the middle there where they actually write it into the contract, saying, hey, we have a limitation on the number of things we're gonna ask, or the floor, the ceiling of that. Anything under 500, anything under 1,000, the first $5,000, first $25,000. I prefer those. I like the total amount. Or a big number for each individual item. Right. Those are what I prefer. I hate the assets. So that's my least favorite.
Do you ever find that when you're on the sales side, that I always think it's really weird to write, like, we're willing to waive the first 5,000 of items we see, or 10,000, because I'm like, well, this is gonna be really weird to negotiate later. Like, what is that? We're just picking and choosing through the inspection. I
You
find
are.
it to be tough.
$75 here, $50 there. What are the things that really matter?
So tough, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, anything under $5,000 is usually pretty solid, because I know I'm looking at a structural issue or roof
Yeah.
issue or HVAC shots.
Yeah, it's the like, but it's the wording of like, we'll waive the first up to 5,000 worth of things that I'm always like, that is gray.
It can't be,
That's a
When you
tough
do
one.
that, do you go with the average price or do you?
it's a negotiation.
Right. So there's no like
Negotiation at that
standard
point.
of what,
No.
because everybody does it a little different.
Okay. Morning. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Anything else in here I want to talk about? Due diligence, closing date, warranty, repair limits. Rest of this contract stuff you guys know, right? There's nothing we don't know about contracts. We're good. All right, let's talk through the offer. Review the contract. To me, the first one is me. I read through it 3 times. I hate putting it in front of a client and all of a sudden go, oh, shoot, I missed that. The client goes, really? What else did you miss?
Right.
So please review this with yourself a couple times, make sure you actually have everything correct. And make sure your buyer understands the contract, especially when it comes to waivers. Here's how it works for the appraisal. Here's how it works for the inspection. Here's how the escalation clause works. Review details like price, closing date, inspection, continue, blah, blah, blah. No, it's essential in your area, no standard or common terms, avoid rookie agent mistakes. This one will blow you out of the water, not only with your client, but with the other realtor. Practice by yourself, practice with the realtor here, do not practice on the clients. Anything on this? Kind of self-explanatory.
I like to read through it 3 times. I feel like I'm always writing offers like after dinner,
Go fast.
right? And it's like, we're all just exhausted and
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're going fast.
Yeah.
100%. All right, if you guys have the participant guide, they have a lot more information in there around this presenting the offer checklist. So double check all documents, follow the instructions, please read the MLS. Please look at the agent comments. If there's an attached FAQ, please read that. Label the documents clearly, order documents logically, email the summary, we'll get in a minute, notify the listing agent, add all documents to command, consult with your buyer. As a listing agent, I do not need to see your buyer docs. Stop sending them. I don't need a lead-based paper brochure. I don't. So stop including that crap. Give me your offer, any necessary addenda, pre-qual, pre-approval, fully written letter or cash proof of funds, and summarize it. That way I know you know what you're doing. Versus I got my buyer to sign the agreement with me and then I sent the contract to you. By the way, you broke the law. You're supposed to get those agreements signed before you show the house. Yeah. So did they go through the actually the checklist? No, that's not it. Okay, let's talk about this. What are you putting in the email summary? To the other realtor,
Right.
the price?
highlight.
Price concession,
Uh-huh,
EMD,
uh-huh.
closing date, and maybe any additional terms, like if we're waiving the inspection or something like.
Great. Okay, what else do you want to put in there?
Trying to do 2 things at once, so if I repeat something you said, I apologize again. A lot of times you, in the sell side, it's like, these things are as is, the shed, the fireplace, chimney flue, whatever, like, make sure you put in the language that the listing agent wants.
Correct. A lot of times I'll say, as noted in the MLS, these things convey as is. Hey, listen, I pay attention. I'm doing what you asked me to do. You can put that in there if you want. I would highlight, hey, my lender, super experienced. I think you know this person, however you want to phrase it. Oh, and here's the lender's information. If you want to call them directly to confirm. Make it easy for me. I'll have to go to the lender and try to find their phone number at the bottom, because a lot of times lenders don't have their information on the stupid letter. Especially if it's a rocket mortgage or something like that, not the easiest to get a hold of. How can you make my job easier as a listing agent? What do I need to know at a snapshot? I mean, as realtors, we know that I can read a contract in 15 seconds. I can pick up the things I really need, but if you give me the summary, I just look at that, I go, great, I know what I have. Makes it really easy.
I'd usually put a little compliment in there at the end.
Like what? I think it's a great idea, but what do you mean by that? John, your eyes are sparkly.
No, not to the agent, not an agent compliment. Like, please let your sellers, know they did you and the sellers did a great job in preparing this property. Like, my clients had no feedback when we walked through. It's just, you can tell they put in the work. Like, just a little compliment, that it's not about the agent per se, it could be kind of about both. But just something complimentary, if there's something to compliment, if there's not. But, I can tell y'all put in the work and it showed like, what a great listing. I don't know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Makes it less
Cause I
whole
mean, you
business.
do, like, people on the listing side too, like, you do put in a lot of work sometimes, it just, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I get the ones that say like, I would love the opportunity to get to work with you. Whether, I mean, sure.
But I do think it matters.
But well, you just,
Like,
like, I'll say
also-
that, I'd love the chance to work with you.
Yeah, or looking forward.
If an agent took the time to say something nice, I mean, they did take time to type a few more words, it just implies they weren't rushing to get you, I don't know, I do it.
And it's funny because like that comment is really nice, means nothing to me.
Oh, yeah.
My personality is that way. What means to me is like, did you give me a great offer and did you summarize it well, you make my job easier? That means that's my love language. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So know the agent you're talking with, of who they are, they rapid, or they want details, are they chatty, they relational? Write the offer letter that way. Summarize it that way with those specific things. Yeah, okay. Notify the listing agent. Let's talk about that.
Can we get back to real quick? So you want people to put in things, even if it's like I said, I won't put the highlights.
I love highlights.
But
I
it's not a
never-
highlight, if it's like, like, we're not,
Like, what do you mean?
I don't know, I mean,
It's a blow asking, you didn't wait anything.
well, we didn't wait any, do you want to say, we're not waiving
You
anything?
put 10 days inspection,
Yeah.
or 14 days, or 7 days, or 2 days, or however you're phrasing it.
I
So sometimes I'll say, you know, 7-day inspection, I've already contacted my inspector and we can do it
There you
as
go.
of Monday.
Making my life
At
easy.
10 a.m.
I know
if you
you're
want
going
to do that.
fast.
I try to.
Correct.
Great.
You could also put in there, let us notify that we're gonna order the appraisal 2 days after the inspection is agreed upon. If that is something that's in play.
Yeah.
But I know you're gonna go fast. If you're waiving the inspection, we're gonna order the appraisal ASAP. Because I hate having to wait for 14th day and they're waiting for whatever reason. I know that how do I know that you're gonna do your job with the lender? I've already talked to the lender. We're on board. I know you're a team now. This is how we're together. What are the things that shows me you know what you're doing?
I've done one where I couldn't get a ton out of the listing agent. I don't know if he was busy or whatever. I don't even know if I need to give it the benefit of the doubt, but they had said in the agent remarks, like, as is. And I was trying to understand what they meant by that, because I find as is to be just so incredibly vague, because there's just 1,000 ways you could do as is in my mind. And so I submitted the offer with an as is addendum, because I was like, as is, I mean, this is the clearest way to whatever. And then I wrote in the email, I was like, I know you guys were asking for as is, so I've submitted the as is addendum, as I'm anticipating that's what you want. I feel like we can actually do better by weighting all items under 2,500. If in your counter, you just want us to do that or as is, just let us know we're open to both and we'll change it.
Love it.
And he came back and we won because he was like, yeah, you know, I think we want to take that one. And I was like, great, well then let me just send you a new one. And I just kind of explained that like, we're open to some gray. I'm guessing what you want, but I think we could beat it, but I don't know if that's what your sellers want. So I just kind of explained that.
How are
in
you
email.
getting it only by not walking at 10 days? Because they wanted to be no repairs.
Yeah, I thought walking
you're
with the 10
saying-
days to walk felt tragic
I
for the
know.
seller. And
Yeah.
so I just was like,
But to weigh things under 2,500, like what if there's a,
well, that was up to them.
I think her point is that I gave them an option and they get to choose which one's best for them.
Because they know what the bones of that house is, I don't yet.
Okay.
So I gave them the option, and my client and I obviously before spoke about that, because I explained to her, I'm guessing this is what they want, to be honest. They're not really talking to me, which is unfortunate, but I actually think this is good, and I don't think this hurts you, because if there is something wrong with this 1890s house in Churchill, it's gonna be over 2,500, right? And we just kind of, and I think we won because he was like, yeah, well, I'll give it to you if you change the other one. I was like, great, because we'd already talked about it. I mean,
And that realtor probably went back to his client and said, I told her.
yeah, 100%. Great, fine by me. Yeah, you win. I don't care.
Okay, as long as we got the offer.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about here?
I do like to put at the bottom of my summary, just please confirm receipt of this student.
Okay, before that,
Yeah,
how are we notifying the listing agent?
I called them beforehand and then if I let them know on the call, I'm sending something over. And then I'll just text them afterwards and say, hey, just send it over, just wanna make sure you got it.
As long as you've had voice-to-voice conversation prior to that, and the text is great. If this is your first time talking to the person or reaching out, pick up the damn phone.
Yeah, no, I always call before.
But usually by that point, you're calling too late.
right.
You may miss details. You could have written the contract and could have gotten your client.
Right,
Okay, but definitely notify them and ask for a receipt. I think it's a great idea and everyone should do that. Why do they want you adding your documents to command? We don't even have a ratified contract yet.
So they could verify them, I would imagine.
Nope.
Nope.
Great question. KW is trying to build as much data as they possibly can on what wins and what doesn't, and they can look at, you wrote this off of here, and here's the final here, and they actually take the data, and they use it. They are a data gathering machine with 180,000 agents. They want to know what we're doing, what wins. Also, on the seller side, when you get offers, you can actually load them into command and create a seller event sheet that compares offers in command. I have my own spreadsheet that I built, but if you want to use commands, it's great. You can load the offers in, or you'll actually load the summary of each one, type it in, and it'll spit out a comparison spreadsheet that you can actually give to your client.
and that's the command.
There's a section talking about it here in a little bit. There's a link on how to do it. I actually played around with it yesterday. I didn't want to mess up with any of my active listings, so I didn't go that far, but it looks like it does it that way. Okay. Any ahas here?
Just having the thought of how can I make it easier for the listing agent, I've never thought about that.
Really?
Like I'm,
Do you do it naturally? Is that why you say that? Or is it,
maybe, I mean,
or do you,
I don't know.
I'm not saying this the wrong way. And this is not you. I've had realtors that will try to show me and puff up a little bit that I know what I'm doing and you should choose me. Versus realtors that walk in and say, how do I win with you?
Great.
Does that make sense?
And maybe I'm just trying to show that I know what I'm doing,
Which is great.
right? Like, I'm a professional and it's, and so I would do all the things. I've never thought of it as how can I make it easier for them?
Yeah, I think because when you write the offer, you're really thinking, how can I make it easier for the seller so that they accept my offer? I don't think we're thinking of the actual agent.
They're the first line of defense in front of the seller. You can't get to the seller without them, right? So if we're bulldozing in, trying to get to the seller, I just lost my advocate.
So I have a question too. I've asked that many times
Uh-huh.
and I find that it's very beneficial. But, I've had a couple agents say, well, don't really put a deadline on there, give them like 2 weeks. But when I receive that answer, it's like, okay, now you're kind of asking for too much. Because now they have the opportunity to, so what would you do if that's kind of the answer of the agent?
If I get a lazy answer from the listing agent, I'll gently pin them down. I say, that's great, but that doesn't really make a win for either side. Like, what's the date that you're looking for? What the terms you're looking for? What's gonna be important to the client? And say, give me specifics. I found if we're all specific, then we actually have a better chance of getting this across the finish line.
Well,
And then if they say, I've got to get back to my client, I'll give you a call back, and then they never do.
General sex. Hey, I know you're busy. I know it's a crazy time of year. When can we talk about the question I have there?
So I did kind of try and funnel it to get a better date.
Yeah.
Versus like, a week or so, because, they're like, well, we have other people talking, like they might put in an offer. So I'm like, okay, well, I understand that. But
Yeah.
really,
And you're gonna find that some agents are just lazy.
Oh,
Some agents are just lazy,
yeah,
or they don't know the answer and they're trying to sound like they know what they're talking about.
was it a lowball offer?
mine, no, it was just like, I think it was the speed of the area too. I think it's very hometown, very just.
You'll find that. They're still practicing as if it was 1997.
See that often.
Finally, get rid of my fax machine.
Finally?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right, what else do you want to talk about here, guys?
Walking on eggshells.
Okay, I think we are now switching to seller. Let me double check. I think we're in the seller section now. Yeah. Okay, you are now we're the listing agent phase. We moved from the buyer side. Before we talk here, any questions about the buyer side we just talked about? Nothing? We're good? Everyone online? Good? Okay. All right. So you, as a listing agent, have received an offer, one offer, not 14, this is one. These are the things you want to make sure you're doing. Make sure the offer is complete, confirm receipt of offer back to the agent, get offer to seller in timely manner. What does timely manner mean?
As soon as possible or as soon as agreed upon.
If you were not timely and a seller got really pissed off and had to go to mediation, how do you defend yourself in a timely manner? Can you prove that you did it as soon as you possibly could? Would your calendar show that you were on 2 back-to-back appointments and you text the client, blah, 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 and let them know what was going on? Or did you go dark for 6 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours or the entire weekend? Make sure you're keeping your clients in the loop. I mentioned before, if we're waiting until Monday to review offers, it's not unlike me to check in on Saturday and Sunday over text and hey, let you know I've got 2 offers in hand. I now have 5 offers in hand. Just let them know what's going on. And if it's an offer that has a deadline of Saturday night, even though it's Monday, then I let them know more details about the offer. Hey, it's actually this, this, and this. They put a deadline for our conversation. We'll make sure that you are on board waiting until Monday. Let me know if you have a phone call. Usually it's back. Yeah, waiting. We're good. Create an executive summary. Hopefully you got one from the other realtor. You can copy and paste. That realtor made your life easier. Copy and paste, send it to the client. We use a spreadsheet. So we'll create a net sheet. We'll talk about that here in a little bit of the items to put into the net sheet. But we'll also put some lines around what type of financing, there's a cash down payment, what's the inspection look like, what's the appraisal look like? Are there any additional things that are unusual that we make sure we don't forget about? They maybe forgot to include the lead base or the realtor forgot to sign the lead. That happens a lot. They get the buyer sign, they forget to sign themselves. What are the little details? Call the buyer's agent. Hey, thank you for sending this offer over. Now, if they're emailing it to me, I usually come back, received. If it's the only offer I get, then I might be called. I'm probably called. Call the lender to verify it. Definitely do that, especially if it's not clear what they actually have checked. If they go through the tri-merge credit report, have they gone through all the tax returns and bank statements, or did they just, did they fog a mirror up and that was all they've done? And then create an outline document to reference when you call the sellers. Are we missing anything in this list here? Anything special that you guys do that's a little, that either supplements this or is outside the box a little bit?
So how's your 4 and 7 different? 7 is the next sheet.
4 is I think the offer is basically boom. I think 7 is if you get multiples, you're collating them together in some kind of easy readable fashion. Buyer 1 is this, buyer 2 is that, buyer 3, buyer 4. Summary.
I still like to do a net sheet for each offer. Or
It's easy.
I do have
Little
a
spreadsheet.
Yeah,
multiple
spreadsheet.
offer spreadsheet.
Oh, where it's tabulating it. You just put in the date and whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, when we had, I think our record was, did we hit 50 offers one time? Jeez. And I had 50 columns.
What is it when one escalates based on the other one? No, that's hard.
Then we're slowing down big time. We have to make sure everyone understands. And if I've got outliers, I'm hiding them. I'm just hiding them on the page. And I'm getting down to the ones that make sense. And then going, okay, we're going back and forth. And our VA will input it first, and then we'll double check it, and I'll triple check it. Make sure we're not missing something. It's really messy. And then the commission changes things.
Mhm. Right. That's why those
The math gets fun.
Yeah.
The math gets fun. At the end of the day, let's say you have, you get 22 offers on a house, and you have a deadline of 3, and you're not ready. Let the realtors know, hey, we got way too many offers. I'm gonna need an extra 6 hours here to figure it out. I'll get back to you tomorrow morning. Here's why. We've got too much competition. I make sure I get this right. You can do that. It's okay. Slow down and get it correct versus trying to shove it through and make a mistake.
I had one call one person, what is taking so long? You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, listen, I have so many offers.
Listen,
Like, I had my
partner.
spreadsheet. I'm like.
Yeah.
Such a jerk. I don't remember their name. I was gonna say.
Blacklist.
I didn't do it, but they weren't winning it anyway.
Right.
Like, I'm not even.
They're trying to blur their offer.
Oh, you're just taking the list.
Loser.
You're fine anyway.
Oh, what else do they have in here? They do talk about, remember a couple of years ago, it was really, really popular for the buyer to include a cover letter, basically a seller love letter, if you will. I'm getting it, one in here, one there. I'm not seeing them as many times. KW is very much against those. They've highlighted several times in the book to say, do not do that. As it might put you in a position where you're actually being swayed.
It's a fair housing thing, right? It's like,
I-
they argue that.
Well, the question is, does the seller have the right to discern who they want to choose to get the house? Have you ever had sellers that says, I'm not taking the highest price?
I
Right.
will say that one thing that I'm dealing with, is with people, my seller only wants to sell to someone who's going to occupy the property. So she does not
Okay.
want to sell to someone who's going to rent it out.
And they're allowed to do that.
But that doesn't have anything to, demographics or.
Correct.
I did have a seller ask me if the couple was married, and I just said, I don't know. I didn't know.
Well, it's family status.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't talk
I
about
don't
it.
know.
I just thought I did know, but I thought I didn't know. I mean, it's easier than being like, I know, but I can't tell you. I was just like, that never came up in the conversation, their marital status.
And the crazy thing is, you think that you're helping, but you don't know the person on the other side, so the information that you'd be like, oh, they have 3 lovely dogs, and you think that's gonna help you, I'm like, well, I don't want those dogs to tear up my house, and so you just don't know how the other person is going to receive the information also.
True.
I took a class at RER one time where the teacher of it, and I know who it was, the reproducing agent, he said, if you're not doing a love letter, you're 1 in 9, 1 in 10 that's not doing it. Like,
How long ago? was this?
everybody else is doing it, and you need to start doing it. I was like, ew. I
How
thought
long
it was
ago?
bad. I mean, I've been. But.
Yeah.
But she was adamant, like, oh, everybody in my place is doing it.
They work. I've had clients pick offers because of that back in 2020, 2021, 2022, before they actually started clamping down on it. They chose it. My client said, I want to know who's buying my house. They told me that. I'm really clear on making sure that if they ask me questions that are protected, I tell them I cannot answer that question. I don't know the answer. I cannot even, if I did, I can't talk about it. Here's why.
What happens when you have buyer clients sort of insistent they want to write it and you imply like, hey, this is a little bit of a gray area here. I can see where you think it might help. Sometimes it hurts. We don't know, but they're like, I've had clients like, if we write a letter, would you please just include?
I think Wiltshire's just sneak it in the back of the contract. They don't mention it. I don't say anything about it. I just forward the contract.
Yeah.
If I see it, I don't read it. I purposely do not read it because I thought someone asked me a question, I'll make sure I can't answer that.
Would you rather have the buyer client be like, hey, I spoke with my clients about the pros and cons of the letter like this. They were insistent on sending it. Please do with it what you will. Like, that's kind of how I did it the last time. And I was like, I haven't looked at it. Please decide, do you want to look at? I felt a little bit like I was going behind my client's back a little bit, but I also wanted to explain, I wanted the listing agent without saying it to know I was on their team.
I think it's a fair approach.
Well, I've had clients say they want to write a letter, and I say, then don't keep it. And I don't know, like, if they saw Virginia Tech diplomas, and they all went to Tech, they're like, we're techies, oh my gosh, like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so they're like, oh, and so, but I'll say things like, if you see that there's a dog thing, then say how much your dog will love being, like, only if you know it's a doghouse or whatever, right?
Sure,
Like, if you know, then, or just talk about how much you love it. You can tell they've maintained the home, you can tell that they cared about it, things like that. Like complimenting them, not so much
It's
like, I want to raise my family here, because then it's like, wait a second. we don't have a, you know,
I
whatever.
think at the end of the day, if you can prove to someone that you actually shared all offers equally. And then you have like, we could, like I said, we could do a summarized net sheet of everything. And then the client chose based upon the terms. I did not put anything here, like at the bottom says they went to Virginia Tech.
Right, no,
Well, the thing, what I shared with them in the summary sheet was all the pertinent information to make a decision. And then we forward the contracts, and they want to read it, they can read it, but that's kind of how I ever discussed it. So to me, it's not material. I think I could defend that. I could be wrong. I think.
I did have a client include a picture in the letter once, and I deleted out the picture. So, I didn't read the letter, but I deleted out the picture, because I was like, I don't know. It just felt like,
It could be a fair housing.
yeah,
Yeah,
I just, and I didn't tell my client I did, I just deleted out the picture.
I had a client one time make an offer on a house only because of the books on the bookcase. They loved, they were like, these are our people, these books.
I tried.
It was like the same political persuasion of what they would have wanted to read. They weren't necessarily hard political books, but they were like, oh,
That's hilarious.
we like these
This
people.
home speaks to me now.
It's all because of the books on the shelf. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know those authors. Like, what are we talking about?
Christine.
If there's anything you share, like the FAQs or anything like that, what's the best way for me to,
Talk to me.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I'm taking notes, I'm taking notes.
Yep. All right, the next section is not a slide. They talk about how to create a net sheet, and I think in your participant guide, they have a link to KW.com, which walks you through how to upload or how to enter data on your listing to compare a net sheet to a seller, and you can do it that way. But I thought we could take a few minutes, and if you want, I don't have a way to show because it's not my laptop. My net sheet, we can talk about the things you want to put into a net sheet. You want to create your own through a spreadsheet. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, so I wish, hold on, let's do this. Hopefully people in La La Land get. If I'm building out a seller net sheet, what is the first thing I'm gonna put on this form? Price, right? I'm gonna use numbers. Is that fair? So it's easier to see? All right, so I'm gonna put price is 500,000. Okay, what else do I want to put on this form?
The type of financing.
Yes, that's gonna be later on. I'm talking about, we're creating a number, a net number at the end of the day. You have $500,000 price. These are all the things that have to come out of that price. And then seller, here's your net.
Selling
Commission.
concession.
Commission's part of that, great. So we'll put a commission on here. I'm gonna put commission seller. I'm gonna put commission buyer. We'll put a percent here. And to stay in compliance with everything going on in the world of lawsuits, I'm not gonna write a number on there. That'll be a percent, and we're gonna subtract those two things. What else am I gonna put in here that involves the net the seller receives?
And the concession.
Concessions or closing costs, yep. Let's say a dollar amount on that. And what else am I gonna put in?
If they have to buy a warranty.
Home warranty? We pick them up, I like it up. Home warranty. 500, for example. What else? All right, title work, so. What's the cost of a title work? Is it the title, is it the attorney, is it the title company? What am I writing? Through, that's on the buy side, this is for the seller. Title insurance is paid by the buyer. Good point, though, glad you had that in your head.
The attorney.
Attorney costs, great. Attorney or title. So. With that,
And if you had to do well and septic inspection.
there you go. What else? Well, I always had this as a line item of mine. Home inspection repairs. And I leave it blank and I highlight it, or you can put a question mark. If we don't know if that's gonna come our way or not, we might get offers that waive it completely, we might have it in it. What else might go in this thing? Here's a really good answer.
The HOA packet, if they have.
Yes. Staging costs, okay, you can do improvements, we're gonna do that, you can actually itemize that in there. Now, some of my clients want to see that number, because by the time we're reviewing offers, they've already paid to have the work done. And so I'll ask my clients, do you want me to include the $15,000 we put into the house as part of the number here? And some say it messes things up, others I just say, yeah, I want to see actually what I got out of this property. So that's actually not a bad thing.
So isn't the HOA packet already paid for usually too?
Usually, but not always. So if I'm actually sitting out with the seller meeting, the seller consultation, that is in.
Yeah.
100%. So here, what were we just talking about? This was the, okay, I'll put improvements.
But with the HOA packet, the thing that I've been running into is when you order them, they now make you pay for them.
Yes.
And so I don't know if I'm telling too much. I typically pay for it upfront and give the receipt to the title company, and then I get reimbursed at closing. So I do still put it on that next sheet.
You go that way. We try to get our clients to pay up front so that they don't get surprised at the end.
Yeah.
But sometimes they can't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
But the only problem is if it doesn't close, then you're on the hook. And you're gonna have to try to squeeze it out of your client. Post closing. We're missing one big thing on here. It's usually the biggest item that impacts the
Their
net.
Oh.
Anything else?
I would just say miscellaneous.
So tell me more. I was actually what I was gonna hope someone was gonna say. What would go on miscellaneous?
um, Just potential unknowns. I usually do that. Because you never know if any of these other things might be more expensive, or you also have to include taxes and stuff like that.
So I put miscellaneous for a couple of things. So state tax stamps, county tax stamps, overnighting of packages. You might see $15, $35, $50, $75. And I put a usually amount of $150, $200. Just so they know it's there. You're gonna see some smaller things, but it is money that comes out of your pocket, and that's want you to be aware of it. I do put MISC as the category, and I explain that tax stamps are the English version of tax. County gets it, state gets it, thanks for selling your house. Hold on, we're missing one other thing.
People out.
What's the old English for sales tax when you're a seller selling a house? It's called grand tourist tax. And how is a grand tourist tax calculated? 1% of the sales price. The sales price or assessed value, which is ever higher. So you're selling for $500,000, it's $500. Anything else on here we were missing?
I've had people get either a notary at the last minute or do a power of attorney at the last minute. Would you put all that?
No, I don't
miscellaneous
put
type
that.
Stuff?
I
or-
don't.
Okay,
The only thing I would put on here, you may want to do is the actual property tax half year. Unless they're in the city. Is the city, you prepay it 6 months in advance, because the city couldn't get their finances straight, they started taxing you twice one year to get ahead, so now you pay in advance for the city. And all the counties, you pay in arrears. And so, for example, if you're cash, you will owe that and then you're closing in June or December. You're putting that whole 6 months in here. You're selling the house. If you are using a mortgage and you have escrows to pay for your taxes, but you're closing that May, June time or November, December, sometimes they pull the tax out and they put it on the statement. And then your escrows reimburse you a month or two later. So I always put it on here just to say, hey, the odds are you're not paying this number, but if it shows up, I don't want you to be surprised, you will get reimbursed post-closing. It shows I know what I'm talking about. It's another level of, hey, it's okay when you see this, there's a way to fix it. And that, at the end of the day, gives you net. Now do that for 15 offers. Create a system, create a spreadsheet, or use KW where you enter it on there and you type in everything on there and they'll spit it out. Personally, I like having my own spreadsheet because I can control it better. Either way works fine. Build this. Spreadsheets are not hard to build. If you're not comfortable with them, they're not hard to build. They're very easy. Create a template. Create the order that you want. You might group things differently. The top might be more expensive stuff. The mortgage is up there. The upfront repairs are up there. And then you start going into I actually put it in the order it's going to happen. Closing attorney is one of the last things I put on there because he's literally the last thing that happens. So, or she is. That makes sense? Build this. Please, please, please. You'll thank me later if you don't have one right now. And then create the spreadsheet where you actually repeat the column with the exact same information and create it to 20 times. You never know what the market's going to bring your way. If you only get 3 offers, you hide the other 17, you share the spreadsheet with 3 offers. We will actually, as we're building this thing out for our clients, we did the 14 on Monday, 14 offers we had. We got most of the way through and then we shared the spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet. We shared it with our client and they popped up and they got to watch us enter the stuff in and they can see it. And for my high C or high Ds who want quickly information or want detailed, they can actually see it and they know we're actually taking care of it. And I always tell them, this is not correct yet. We're not done. I'll tell you when it's finished. So you might see some mistakes. We always triple check it to make sure we haven't done anything. Just sit back and watch. Usually they'll pop on and they'll disappear. Then an hour later they pop back on, they disappear. You see the little face pop on. Makes it easy. Questions on this? You can get I remember I was on social and a realtor that I've known for a very long time was so proud. She had 10 offers to give her client and she printed off 10, 15-page contracts for her client to review. And I was like, are you kidding me? All right, seller, read through these. Which one do you want to go with? Versus I have a 1-page summary I put in front of them. They can look at it. I can hide things. I can move things. I can correlate it. We can talk about it. And then you go, that's the one I want. Or those are the 2. Now give me the best one. This shows that you know what you're doing.
And just to add on the bottom of the net sheet, that's where I put like the inspection period. Or if they're doing it, so when they see that sheet, they do have like a true side-by-side comparison of the offers.
Yeah, so page 2 or at the bottom, you're gonna put loan type, percent down, EMD amount. You would put things on an appraisal. That looks like. Any details on home inspection? And this is more the granular. This is how I protect the deal as your listing agent.
And the closing.
Closing date, thank you. There's a few other things you put in there from the contract. Oh, we have one field called need. And that is, we're missing any documents, any signatures. They used the wrong form. They tried to use the contract as a form. They should have used the form. I want to go back, and put that in there. I'll give an example we had. Oh, sight unseen addendum is an example. If the realtor told me he had a buyer who's seen the house and they did not include the sight unseen, I'm pushing that back to them.
Items that are going for they.
Yeah, great, conveyance. Read through the contract, you'll find things to put in here. And this goes on the bottom half of the spreadsheet that you're gonna send to the client.
For the appraisal line, what are you putting in? Just whether it's completed, the value if you have, I mean. you
For which
sell-
field, which one?
Waived.
Whether-
Yeah, the home inspection is, fully waived,
Thank you, Lance. And then
or is it items under $500, which I think is a waste of time these days? Electrician will charge you $500 just to change an outlet. Those kind of things. Appraisal, is it partial, is it a full? Did they put in there gonna have it ordered within the first 5 days rather than the first 15? PND, how much? Percent down, loan type, all those things.
So even if you're putting this in that email, you don't see value in it.
Who's the cover letter going to for what? I'm sorry, I don't understand the
I'm
question.
sorry, I'm thinking on the buyer side, if you're sending an offer
Yes, I love a cover letter.
in addition to that email, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. To me, the email summary that you send me an email introducing your offer to me from your client, that is the cover letter to me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Hey, I'm pleased to present my client's offer. They're excited to be in the home, blah, 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 those kind of things. Here's a summary of the house of what our offer is. Let me know if you have any questions. I will call on it to confirm. Boom, boom, put all those things in there. Quick summary. Yeah. That's the cover letter. Did we miss anything? This section in your booklet talks about how to create an offer in command. So basically you can put the stuff in there. If you want to create a net sheet through command, you can walk through that. Went back to the whole receive, review, respond to offers. It's basically the flow of how to talk to your clients about it. I'm a big fan, like I said, if you have the spreadsheet, just walk them through it. A lot of times if I have a lot of offers, I'll get permission. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I know you've seen this spreadsheet. Do I have permission to get rid of any house that's under 475? Because I have 8 offers for you that are above that number. And all of them also have really poor inspection terms or poor contingency terms. They go, fine, great.
That's good.
Pare it down. Help them make this, help them get to the point where they're making a really informed decision, but you're not getting lost in the weeds of things. And if they had a chance to look at it before I talk to them, they most likely have already seen all of the offers and they know those are the ones that are gonna go away anyway. What else I want to talk about here? This is the whole eject, accept, I think this is pretty self-explanatory in how you guys negotiate. I don't think we have to talk about that. That'd be correct. Am I done? You see, if there's anything else as well. Oh, you guys want to practice? It's actually kind of fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what they want us to do is to role play realtor to realtor. So one person's the listing agent, one person is the buyer's agent, and the listing agent is answering back to the buyer's agent on terms. So should we create a scenario around it?
Sure.
Okay. Right here. Let's see here, hold on. Yep, responding back. Okay, what I don't like about this is that they've asked us to have a conversation where the seller is giving information that you should have already given prior to agent writing the offer. How do we handle this? Let's assume that the agent did not read all your wonderful instructions you put in the MLS around what's important to the seller. So let's say the list price is 500K. This is gonna be an offer we're talking about in the summer or winter months when you might be the only offer, so you're negotiating. So the offer price was 475K. And they also asked for 5K closing costs. And they asked for a 60-day close. They asked for a 2.75% commission. Home inspection is 14 days. Appraisal is full appraisal, has to be ordered within 15 days. What else do we want? What else? What other terms do we put in this? Oh, they want the ring set. And they want the bookcase in the study. By the way, that the daughter's father handled. Together, and everyone has to participate. Everyone's got to make one comment. Okay.
You put EMD in there too?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Okay, hold on. $500 EMD.
Oh. That is fun.
We had a good time in this conversation.
And they asked for home warranty also.
Yeah. $895.
Oh,
Put
man.
every bell and whistle in there.
They want a 2-year.
Okay, so I'm the buyer's agent. I presented this to you, each of you as individual agents.
How long have we been on the market?
That's what I was just thinking, it must have been sitting.
3 days.
Oh, my God.
I've been on for 3 days. This is the first offer I have received. You have received from me, yes.
So also the loan, like, are we paying cash?
Thank you.
No.
Okay, hold on. They're doing conventional 3%. Thank you for that. Really important to have that information in there. Actually, hold on. It's conventional. They did not write anything in the term,
Oh.
100% down. What else do we need to look at here?
Them showing, find out.
Exactly.
Let's assume we don't.
Oh, no. Okay.
Lastly, the optional Paragraph. equals yes. What the optional paragraph is?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know the optional paragraph? On the inspection? They chose yes on the optional paragraph, the buyer. You know what I'm talking about? Where they can walk away? They don't like the inspection? Okay, I presented this to you. Who wants to take the first stab of calling me? Who wants to be my role partner? Come on. Who wants to practice? You can't get this wrong, guys. It's all good. This is for fun. This is where you practice together, not in front of your clients. You're gonna call me and do a ring. We're gonna talk about it. Come on, let's have fun.
He's looking at y'all.
Yeah, who wants to participate?
How many y'all do?
Mindy, you
Yeah, you
should-
know what you're doing. You're the most experienced person in this
Okay,
room, so you're out. I'm gonna pick one of you two. You guys get to decide who wants to be. I'm the buyer that you're the listing agent. You're gonna call me back and you're gonna counter on these terms. You're gonna explain to me why we're countering. Who wants to go?
do you mind explaining to me first real quick?
Yeah.
The conventional with no other, what does that necessarily mean?
In the contract, they check the conventional box. I have no idea what the down payment is.
Okay, so you just like
I don't know if it's a 3%, 5%, 20%. down. They just put conventional, that's all they checked, and which happens regularly. The other listing agent,
How many other offers do you have?
you're the only one, 3 days in. And I have limited showings, if any, coming up. So I wrote this offer because I'm watching showing time.
Right.
And I don't see any other showings for the rest of the week, so I wrote this offer. Does that make sense?
Slightly.
This might be a summer offer or a winter offer. Not a April 9th offer. So you're gonna call me back. And you say, John, we need to talk. So what are you gonna say?
Um,
John, this offer sucks. What were you thinking? You're wasting my time. Is that what you're gonna start off with?
Well, did we talk
Thank you
beforehand?
for the offer.
Yes, thanks.
No, you actually, all I did was I emailed this over to you. I just popped it in your inbox. Just sent you a text, offer in your email.
Okay, so we had.
No, why would I waste my time talking to you?
Oh,
Talking to you is not in my client's best interest.
Gotcha.
It's not correct, I'm just joking.
I'm just assuming that you know.
Yeah, so you're gonna, so ring, ring. You're gonna come- yeah,
Ring.
hello.
Hello, John. This is Riley with Keller Williams, Richmond West.
Hey, Raleigh, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
So I just received your offer
Uh-huh.
in my inbox.
Great.
You know,
Did the seller agree to it?
well, we have been taking some time to look over it.
Okay.
I think there's a couple missing aspects of the contract that would be really important.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it would have been good if we could have talked before you put in this offer, just so we could have clarified some things.
Oh,
But, but you know, my client really would prefer a quick close.
well, what kind of closing date would they like?
So where's the 60 days coming from as well?
Oh, my clients are renting, and so they're trying to not have to double pay between rent and mortgage. So their lease is up May 31st. And so that would allow us then to, you know, buy the house, move out that weekend, and then move in, we'll be done. So they go from one to the next.
Absolutely. Okay. So also I'm looking at the conventional loan. I see that, you know, there's no down payment, there's no other detail. All I'm seeing is a checkbox.
Yeah. Oh, they're pre-approved with the lender.
Okay, well, you know, how much will they be able to put down? There's no other contacts in,
Oh, yeah, so I think the lender said they could do 3%.
okay. Well, is there a chance that I can get their lender's contact information just to clarify some details?
Oh, did I not include the pre-qual letter? I didn't send that over?
No,
Probably didn't.
no, I don't think I saw that.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll get that over to you. I apologize. I thought I put that in there.
Okay, perfect. And then, you know, I'm looking at the EMD here.
Mhm.
It seems like you have a pretty strong loan. Is there a reason that the EMD would be so low?
It's all the cash they have, and money's, you know, having to pay for the inspection, you know, they're having to pay for the lender and all the other fees that come with this. So, I mean, 500, I mean, if something was to fall through, your clients get $500.
Well, you know, that's something that we can discuss moving forward. I need to speak with the lender and kind of see where your client would be at, financially. So. Trying to do the other things.
My awesome handwriting.
So you said they were approved for the 500.
Yeah, yeah, I have a pre-qual letter. I'll send it over to you here shortly.
Okay. Well, is there a reason you guys, are pitching 470?
Oh, no, they're approved for the 475.
But they're not approved for the 500?
No, we wrote the offer at 475.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, let's break it.
List price. Okay, I see.
This is offer. Sorry. Details matter. My bad.
So is there a reason that you are also asking, for the sellers, for us to cover the home warranty?
Yeah, I mean, the home is great and all the things we don't know, and just the first time home buyers, they want to make sure they're covered and, you know,
Okay,
I hate to get the phone call in the middle of the night, 11 months in that something broke. This protects it, and it protects your seller too, that they don't have to worry about things coming back to them after closing.
sure. This is a newer house. This was
Mhm.
built about 5 years ago, so I don't think that that would be an issue.
Okay,
If that's something that your client's interested in, then my seller has not been considering covering that.
okay,
But we are going to review this some more. But we are gonna need the lender approval letter,
Mhm.
and I need you to fill out that financial information. So we can
oh,
have.
you want me to revise the contract?
Absolutely.
I mean, can we get an agreement, we'll just change it then?
What'd you say?
If we get an agreement, we just change it then.
Well, no, we'd have to have a completely filled out contract before we make an agreement.
So you're not gonna present my offer to your client unless I change it?
No, actually, because it's not complete.
But I just told you the information you asked about though, so don't you have the right information?
We're just gonna need that in writing, to have that.
I can email it over to you, I'll just email the terms.
Okay, well, that's not gonna work, so you're gonna have to fill that in a contract, so that we can have a complete contract. Once I get that approval letter, I'll be able to contact the owner to prove some of the information that you are stating to me. And then we
Okay,
can talk.
well, I mean, we might go find another house. I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult here, but we wrote a really strong offer for your clients, you at least put it in front of them and let us know if this is even close. I'm being really difficult, I apologize.
Well, no, I see where, you might think that, actually, don't see that. So,
So let's pause real quick. So I want to make sure if we're gonna get, and by the way. Thank you. I put you in the firing squad here. You're asking some really good questions and some questions I would not ask or not push back on. What do you really want from me at the end of the day? The most important thing you want from me is what? And anyone can answer this question. I'm not trying to think around.
I mean,
I am trying to get, you as a listener are trying to get me back to at least 500. And so your goal is to bring me along. And if you pick the wrong fight, like having me fill out the contract exactly the way you want it, you might lose me as an ally to help get to that point. So some things you want to talk about, great. Hey, I'm just getting clarity on this. I haven't talked to my sellers yet. Thank you very much. Thank you first off for writing this off. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna get this to my clients. I'm missing a few pieces of information. Do you mind indulging me while I get these answers from you? Great, 3% down, blah, blah, blah. And why is this important to you, blah, blah. Don't negotiate with me yet. You're not here to negotiate. You haven't even talked to the sellers yet. So all you're trying to do is making sure you're filling the gaps in and getting clarity from me as why I wrote the offer this way and what is important to the buyer. That make sense?
Yes.
Because when you start off by saying the contract's not filled out right, I'm like, ooh, we're gonna have,
it's an immediate, like.
we are now gonna, we're not looking for a win-win. One of us has to win, no one has to lose. So you're getting clarity, and then you talk to the seller and say, hey, they wrote this contract for these reasons here. What do you think? Here's my advice. How do we respond? And then you call me back. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
The very first phone call was always a fact-finding information. I would not get, I've done it wrong in the past where I got adversarial up front because I was pissed off the agent for writing a stupid offer. And sometimes it blows up, sometimes it does not, but I'd rather be, this Debbie Gibbs, y'all know Debbie Gibbs? She's the sweetest lady on the phone. She's been doing this for like 30 years. Oh, hi, John. And I'm also her best friend. And she just asked me the sweetest questions with a Southern accent. And it goes over really nice. I'll give you a call back in a little bit. Let me talk to the sellers. I'm like, I got this. And she calls back and she changed this, and this. She kills me with kindness and then smacks you upside the head. And she's smiling the entire time. I'm like, I just made a best friend who just beat me up.
And I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, I didn't feel like she was coming at me.
Mhm.
She was telling me, she heard my point of view of why they offer that way. And she came back with her client's point of view. And this is the counter offer. And now we are trying to find the win-win common ground that gets us to the finish and makes the buyer and seller happy. Or equally miserable, one of the two options.
Right.
Which has happened on occasion.
Would you start by saying, hey, thank you for the offer.
Mm-hmm.
We've only been on the market 3 days, so I was a little surprised at the price you came in at.
I wouldn't even start with that
You
yet.
wouldn't even talk about it.
No,
Okay.
I would say, hey, let's, you be the,
I'm
yeah, great. So, hey, thank you very much for the offer. I really appreciate it. I haven't had a chance to talk to the sellers yet. I need to get some information before I talk to them. Can I get clarity on the contract? Would that be okay? I'm just gonna go through and ask you questions. So tell me, so what's the percent down for your loan? Can they do more, or why are they choosing to do 3%? Is, I'm just concerned, it's a very low down payment for a price like this. And tell me about the EMD. Why we have 500? I think you probably written off before with, close to 1%. We're at $500. Can you explain that to me? I'm not picking a fight yet. I'm just getting information. And that realtor's gonna think they won the day. Because all I'm doing is fact finding right now. And then I can go to the seller and say, here's what we have. And I always tell my clients that when it comes in lower, hey, it's not the offer you get, it's the offer you end up with. It's what we negotiate. So don't get insulted by the first. They're trying to win just like you are. So let's talk about how we find that win. Is there any room in the price? No, we're saying it's day 3. I get it. And we still have 10 showings lined up. Well, we have no showings lined up. And it's been 3 weeks. And I got you this offer. But I would really bring that realtor along just for the fact-finding information. Thank them for the offer, thank them for the effort, appreciate you showing it. I get the details, great, I'm gonna be in touch, let me talk to my clients. I know they both work, so I probably won't have an answer until tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, is that okay? I'm getting buy-in from the other realtor. I want them as an ally, I don't want them adversarial. Is that if I have them as an ally, I have a greater chance of influencing them or coaching them how they get their client to where I need them to go. Once we start punching it out, everyone's digging their heels in because they don't want to lose. They don't want to look like a loser or they got beat. So how do we find the win-win? Does that make sense? You're great. Thank you.
I feel, yeah, I think the way I would approach it is very different than what I just did.
Yeah.
Also, I'm using that win-win terminology within, because I would just ask, I put an offer in and we, before she accepted it, she asked, hey, would your buyer be willing to cover your commission? And I said, well, actually, this is at the height of our, price to be considered for, purchasing a house. So this is not something that she was considering. If this will break our deal, just let me know. We might be able to make some changes, but I want this to be a win-win situation for both your client, my client, all of us. And stating that, she came back and was like, okay, it should be fine. And the way, when you say win-win situation for everybody, they immediately feel like we're all friends and they feel comforted. And it's just, every time I've used that, it's really beneficial.
Yeah. Or maybe not friends, but at least we'll not be punching
Right,
each other
not
on the
friends,
side of the
but,
face. Yeah,
Just,
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So she accepted that, made no changes.
no, all she said was, okay, it should be fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I was like,
But
awesome.
there are some realtors that will come back and squeeze every little last drop out of it, and you gotta be okay with that. And obviously understanding where your clients, like, find the buyer's agent, I understand what my client's end game is. So I know what to work with, and the seller's standard, same thing. I know where they're willing to go and not willing to go, and then I can fight for that. Yes, James.
And listening to the role play, and my brain began to wake up a little bit to function. On the surface, the offer looks like it's very non-committal, like they're not very serious and that they're
No.
not
This is actually kind of common.
low MD, the option out clause for the home inspection, $25,000 short. I get it, it was the winter month, so we get it. But taking into consideration the condition of the home, which we didn't say year built or anything like that.
Yeah.
When you're talking and gathering information, do you come back with changes to all of those areas that you consider to be lacking commitment?
If I have to counter, I am highlighting all of them.
Okay, gotcha.
If we have an agreement, I'll start with the agreements first.
Sure.
Hey, my clients are fine with the closing date. They're fine with the 14 days for inspection. And of course, we love the appraisal order as soon as we can, but I understand why the 15 days in the contract. But But hey, a few things we're gonna need to find a common ground here. My clients are coming back with some changes. We want a $3,000 EMD. We want the closing costs are not on the table. We were at 497,500 on the response time. And, sorry, on the price itself. And I will protect your commission. I've actually fought for you on the commission piece. Because the closing costs have to come out
I
because.
love that language, by the way, I'll protect the
Mhm.
commission.
Then we want the opt-out gone too.
Bingo, that's going on,
Completely.
heartbeat. Yes, and I think you can understand why we want a chance if there's a problem, and we want a chance to negotiate with you and not just lose 10 days on the off the market. Most people understand. How is your language helping you or hurting you when you're talking to somebody, not only your client, but also the other realtor?
So as a buyer's agent, you go back and you say, okay, they can't do the closing costs. And you're not talking about your commission, or are you? Are you saying, oh, they're gonna save my commission, but they're taking the
No,
closing
no.
costs away?
My commission's not negotiable anyway,
Well,
because if it comes in less, then the buyer's paying for it. So, hey, they're not messing with the new, you don't have to worry about covering the difference. We talked about that at the buyer consult, meaning that if it comes in less, that they'll have to cover the difference. So I protected you on that piece. They came back at the price where I thought they might argue a little bit. I can't give the closing cost, but maybe we can push the price up a little bit to absorb the closing cost. You want to try that as a counterpoint? Maybe we can get 2,500, we'll push the price from 497.5 back up to 500, but we'll get 2,500 in closing costs. Is that a strategy you want to try? The moral of this whole conversation is don't practice on your clients. Find a buddy and practice. Or at home, write scenarios down. How would I counter back to this? How would I handle that? But usually it's better if you have someone else that can actually throw a zinger at you. You get to practice that versus waiting until you actually have a meeting that can pay you 5 figures.
I like that you said it's a fact-finding commission, or fact-finding mission on the first call. I've had people reach out and the first thing they're like, so I pulled comps. And, 6 months ago, the across the street neighbor sold for this, so they're coming in at $25,000.
The buyer's agent's doing that.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, the buyer's agent may support their offer. I've actually included comparables in my offer. The problem is when you start including facts, you're ready for facts to come back.
Right.
So usually I don't do that unless there's a need to share. So right now, it's my client's perceived value of the property is this. Your seller's perceived property is that. We gotta find the common ground.
Right. So it's like, I feel like it's all of that.
Yeah.
Attacking their perception of the,
I'm not who said in the room, but starting off by saying you have a beautiful house, it's great, my clients fell in love with it. They feel the value is here, we want to make this as easy as possible, here's the terms they've included, blah, blah, blah. Off you go. Yeah. And you'll know if you have a partner on the other side or not. Some realtors are great about that and they'll find the win, other realtors just stink at it. And you gotta work differently. And maybe there's not a win here, unfortunately. Any questions on anything we talked about today? That is the end of the class. Yes, ma'am.
Can I see what your multiple offer setup looks like?
Yeah. Yeah, when we're done here. Can't show it on the screen, unfortunately, but I can pull my laptop out and you take a look at it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's basically that, but yes, we can do that. Any other questions? Guys, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating. That makes me very happy. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to be on your finance class whenever you do.
Financial.
oh yeah,
You
you
say,
said like P and L.
yeah,
My teaching, oh,
I mean,
I was voluntold.
you might do that in the future.
Right, did they tell you the date? for that? Yes, or so we can plan.
Very
to-
close. You're doing this on this date. Okay. So, okay, hold on. So we're going to a P&L class. Is that what we're teaching?
Well, I know, yeah, so
Sure.
you did mention, because I think it started back when we were talking about what committees we were going to have.
I was not there that day.
Um,
It's been a while.
No, it's all good. Actually, I love P&Ls. Once you learn to read them, you can kind of like you can read a contract in 15 seconds by scanning through it. I can read a P&L and tell someone's helped the business in about 10 seconds. It just takes time. Yeah, I don't know when we're doing that or who signed this up or whatever.
I don't know. I think it was just floated that you've done one in the past, so you might, it might be a good one.
I have a financial class.
Make that,
Let me see,
It
can I
really still
find
amounts to-
a,
make.
And I would like to know at some point.
Things are.
Say today, but
Up to state.
like, is
There
it?
we go.
I mean, I usually say on the list, it's like 1.5% closing costs. And on the buyer side, it's like 3 to 3.5%.
It's nice to have someone.
anywhere between 2.5 to 3.25 on the buy side. Because you might, the higher the price, the some of the costs get absorbed over percentage wise. So it could be as low as 2.5%. On the listing side, about percent-ish.
You said 2.5.
No, about 2.5 to maybe 3.25. Because if you're in the $300,000 range, you're doing a full VA loan or full FHA loan,
So
you get a
yes.
lot more fees, you get upfront PMI, and that kind of stuff, and really checks things up a little bit.
And so then on the sales, on the list side, what do you?
Oh, I think about percent.
Yeah.
And now.
Where's my net sheet? There it is.
And all the title breakdown, like title.
Just take a CD, that you
However,
got, you can look at it, and give you the numbers, you'll have a good, obviously titles are a percentage of the purchase price.
Right.
Every time you can.
That's why I tell the buyers, we do somewhere between 2.5 to 3.25%.
Absolutely.
And if they're on the, putting 20% down, they're getting closer to the 2.5%. If they're putting very low down on their high government loan with IPs, 3-ish, 3.25.
Very valuable.
And they.
So when you say.
But the lender can give them really solid. numbers.
So,
So I would never put those numbers.
I'm not sure if that girl has signed it.
Thank you. They were online earlier,
Oh, they
so
were.
they got signed in. Thank you.
I've never put those numbers on that sheet.
You're
I'm not
done,
sure.
right,
For a buyer,
John?
for seller.
You're
Yeah.
officially done?
Selling don't need title insurance.
Well, right, okay. Oh. So there's no need for you to put that sheet for a buyer?